Hey, it's Rick, aka Concrete River. We're going to keep the Flavorwest train rolling today with some additional testing on their funnel cake, their glazed donut, and their waffle cone. So in mixing these up, I did the thing where you usually go ahead and smell it and all that other stuff. I do have to say before starting this, these all smelled really similar. So I'm a little bit curious to see what kind of direction this all goes in. So starting out, we have the funnel cake from Flavorwest at 4%. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm not getting much funnel cake out of that. So for funnel cake, I'd expect like an oily or at least crisp, like grease note to it, and then like a powdered sugar. I'm not getting either of those things. It is like pretty heavily sweet, which would seem to be sort of a fit for the profile, but that sweetness almost has like a little bit of a maple to it. It tastes like um, the base doesn't taste fried. It also seems really heavy towards the sweetness. I think this tastes like French toast crunch. I want to say like it has like a like between the maple note from the sweetness and that base. It does that base isn't bready necessarily. Like there's a little bit of texture to it, but it tastes like a kind of a more generic like cereal kind of vibe. So yeah, I'm gonna say French toast crunch. Yeah, that's weird. I'm not sure how that's a funnel cake flavor. Maybe if I like crank it up, but as it stands right now at 4%, that doesn't really remind me of a funnel cake. Like I said, I'm missing the powdered sugar. I'm missing the breadier note. Um, and I'm sort of missing the oil here or any kind of crispness. It's crispness. There's definitely some texture, but it's not like crisp and fried texture. Yeah, it's interesting. To be fair, that doesn't really remind me of any other fried dough flavor that I've had. Uh, it doesn't have like the greasiness in like Flavora's fried dough or even like Capella's funnel cake. That sweetness note isn't quite dry enough for powdered sugar, and it has that weird maple tinge to it. Yeah, I'm just tasting breakfast cereal there. Um, Probably warrants some further investigation. We'll try it at 2%. See if maybe I'm over flavoring. So at 2% right off the bat, I'm getting less of that kind of maple character to the sweetness. I think if you were to go ahead and crank this up like closer to 6-8%, you're going to notice a whole lot more of that maple. So I think that maple is going to be scaling as you increase the percentage quite a bit. It's maybe a little drier overall. It feels like there's some kind of spice in here too. Like a really soft like cinnamon or something, like they're going for maybe like sprinkling like a cinnamon sugar over the funnel cake. It's not bad. It's not a bad flavor. I just don't know how this ties into a funnel cake. Yeah, but I mean cinnamon toast crunch. That if not cinnamon toast crunch, French toast crunch. If that's your thing, you might want to pick this up and check that out. For refreshment and utility. Okay. So next on the docket, we have Glazed Donut. So I was excited about this just because I feel like there's some problems with existing donut flavors. Like Flavorwest Donut has a really heavy yeast note to it, which may work for like a yeast risen donut, but it doesn't really do a cake donut all that well. TPA's frosted donut ends up being like super muddy. It has a decent glaze note, but when you start turning it up to try to get to it, you get a lot of muddy bakery underneath there. The less said about Cabela's glazed donut, the better. That just tastes like straight Play-Doh to me. I don't know how people do that one. Zeppela by Flavor Art's good, but it's definitely like more of a cake donut beignet kind of flavor. But it doesn't really have it actually has like a powdered sugar note, but only when you start really cranking it up. We'll see how this one stacks up at 4%. Okay, so right off the bat, it's sweet. And I think it's doing a pretty good job of that glaze flavor. I'm kind of missing the donut underneath, though. So that glaze flavor seems to be actually fairly similar to the funnel cake in that it has like that little tiny bit of like that oversweet maple thing going on, but it's less prominent in this one. But yeah, I'm definitely missing that body. I don't get anything bready or yeasty. It feels like it isn't a glazed donut flavor so much as like a donut glaze flavor, to split some hairs there. Yeah, so just first impressions, I think this one might actually be worth picking up. It does that glaze flavor for the donut really well. I think you're going to want to come back at it with like a donut body. Like if you want a cake donut, Zeppeli would work great for that. If you want a yeast risen donut, you're kind of on your own there. Maybe a very, very small percentage of like Favora's Donuts or F.A. Joy or something like that to bring in some yeast. It's definitely not a bad glaze flavor though. It doesn't really taste like a Krispy Kreme donut kind of glaze, but it feels like it has like a similar glaze to donut ratio. Like with a Krispy Kreme donut, you get a whole lot of glaze and you don't really taste the donut underneath. I'm not really tasting the donut underneath this, and I'm also not getting a whole lot of donut texture. It just feels like it needs a little bit of help, but it's not a bad donut glaze. So, next we have the final test for today, Flavorwest's Waffle Cone. So I'm interested about this one. Like I said, it smelled pretty similar to the other two. Okay. So it definitely has that waffle sort of griddled note to it. I think flavor manufacturers assume that if, as long as you can taste the pan that the waffle's cooked in, it's close enough to a waffle flavor. This definitely has some of that hot iron flavor that you get with like Inaware's waffle. Which, by the way, shout out to Optimus Rhyme on Reddit for sending me some discontinued waffle. It was good to get a chance to try that, but yeah, this definitely has that sort of like hot iron crisp note to it. I'm still getting like a little bit of maple twinge to the sweetness, which I think is probably what I was smelling right out of the bottle. Uh, it fits here a little bit better, but not necessarily for a waffle cone. It fits because I think they're going after that waffle flavor. Um, there is some texture here, but it doesn't feel crisp like I would really want a waffle cone to feel. It's a little bit softer, a little bit flabbier. Um, yeah, I'm not sure about this as a waffle cone flavor. It doesn't really hit that kind of like crisp, lightly flavored waffle that I'd want. It's a little bit richer than that. Uh, I could see using this actually as like a normal waffle flavor if you're not particularly happy with any of the offerings out there. It does the griddled thing fairly well. The light bit of maple isn't overwhelming, and then it has that softer texture underneath. It does have some dryness that tastes a lot like that sort of drier note from Flavor Art Meringue, which is probably not a bad thing. Um, a good waffle has a lot more in common with like a cooked meringue than a cake. You're supposed to be using egg whites, and it does that kind of like egg white dryness pretty well. It also doesn't have like that like light yellow Eggo kind of note to the waffle. It kind of tastes like powdered sugar and maple syrup on like an inexplicably light Belgian waffle. But yeah, so I guess it's not really a great waffle cone flavor, but it's not a bad waffle. So I could definitely see using that. But yeah, like I said, I don't think it's going to be for the intended purpose. These are interesting. So the smell test kind of bared that out. Like they all seem fairly similar. They all have that kind of like heavy, glazy, sweet quality to them that has just that little bit of maple. It feels like the primary difference is that the waffle cone flavor has like that griddled note. The glazed donut, that glaze is a little bit sweeter and more aggressive, a little bit more solid. And then for the funnel cake, it honestly just tastes like French toast crunch cereal. So I wouldn't say any of these are bad flavors. I just don't think they really hit the profile. But if you're interested in picking them up, I hope that helped. So I'll be finishing up my last of the 4 new Flavorwest flavors on the next video. I think I have wild berry cobbler, s'mores, butterbeer, and malt. So I'll give those all a shot on the next video. But thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you later.